People in other countries are simply mystified by the U.S. gun culture and how relatively easily one can get one's hands on a firearm here in the United States. CNN's Atika Schubert starts us off in London.
Wolf, here on the streets of London, people read about the shooting in Arizona with one question in mind. Why is it so much easier to buy a gun in the United States? Here in Britain, it is illegal to buy a gun over the internet. It must be done face-to-face. It is possible to buy a hunting rifle if you're a member of a gun club, but even then, you need a firearms certificate from the local police. And they need to know how you're going to use that weapon and how it will be stored safely. As for buying an automatic weapon or most types of handguns, that requires another permit from Britain's Home Office that is extremely difficult to obtain. Many here say that is why Britain has far less gun crime than the United States.
I'm Fred Pleitgen in Berlin, Germany, and this country actually has big issues with its gun laws. The gun laws were tightened in the past years after several devastating school shootings left dozens of children dead. Since then, the Germans have tightened up their rules for possessing guns. They've outlawed pump-action rifles completely, and they've made it harder for under 21-year-olds to get into rifle clubs. Still, the Germans do acknowledge that while they don't have as many guns as the United States does, they still have a problem on their hands.
Well, here in Beijing, people are just as shocked over the point-blank shooting of Arizona Representative Gabrielle Giffords as Americans are, but not quite for the same reasons. People here are surprised at how close Americans can get to their political leaders. Here, in a system where politicians are not directly elected, officials tend to be inaccessible and highly guarded. People are also talking about America's thriving gun culture. In China, hardly anyone can get a gun. And if it's found that you have one illegally, you can face jail time or even execution in the event of a crime. So while there is some gun violence here, it's very, very rare.
I'm Sarah Seidner in New Delhi, India. The Arizona shooting tragedy hasn't really made big headlines here, though it has been reported. And if you'd ask the average citizen if they know anything about the U.S. gun laws, they'd likely say no. However, they do know about this country's gun laws, which are some of the strictest laws in the world, though you will see places that sell arms and ammunition here. In order to get a gun, you have to get a license. And in order to get that license, you have to have one of two things. Either one, that you are involved in the competitive sport of shooting, or that you can prove that your life is in imminent danger. Generally speaking, these shop owners say that it is nearly impossible for an average citizen to legally get a gun in this country. Though if you ask security analysts, they say if you want a gun in this country, you won't get it legally easily. But if you have the money, it's not so hard to get one illegally. Sarah Seidner, CNN, New Delhi.
Those terrible moments when the shots were fired just out of the hospital. One of the Tucson shooting victims tells us what happened during the massacre. Stay with us.